Hey guys, welcome back to Real Love Scenario.
Real Love Scenario.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I
Put a
love it.
little vibrato on the end.
Welcome back. If you're tuned in for the first time, welcome to Real Love Scenario. You can be part of the Real Lover gang. All you gotta do is like, subscribe, comment, follow, do all the things that are free to you. Mean a lot to us to be part of Real Lover gang, and you want to be here.
Duh. Where else would you want to be?
Nowhere else.
Look at us.
Look at us.
We look good.
We do.
We are good. We love good. We're nice people.
There we go. And we're wearing black today.
We are.
Why are we wearing black, Rhonda? I saw in your story.
Because we putting some things to rest. It's election day, baby. Go ahead and lay down. Go lay down. Ugly.
Ooh. I agree.
Having a little funeral.
Yeah, that
Boy,
is
go
the hope.
sit down. Go to that place where you got all that money and go sit down over there. Get on them people nerves. We tired. We're tired. Okay. So yes, that's why.
Yes.
That's why.
I hope everybody went out and voted. And
Yes, please.
by this time when this episode comes out, hopefully it's been called
Whew.
for our
Please.
first woman.
Please.
In office.
Jesus, Lord,
That is the hope.
knows it, Lord. Have mercy, God, Father, Jesus, in the name. Okay, amen. Leaving it alone. I actually feel so good about it. I don't feel anxious like so many people feel super anxious. I don't.
Don't you know, like, sometimes you want something to play out to tell somebody I told you so,
Mm-hmm.
but then other times you like, I know I'm right, but I don't want it to play out so that you know I was right.
Right.
This is one of them situations to where I don't need it to play out the other way.
Please no.
So I can be like, I told you so. Like, I don't need that. to
Nah,
happen.
Nah, I don't need that. I don't need nothing that comes with that side of things. Nothing. Because it's a whole bunch of fool-la-la that comes with that. Like scary stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel very like chill.
Yeah, at peace.
I feel at peace. What's supposed to happen will happen. And I believe that, yeah, we going to see it.
Let go and let God.
Yeah, President Harris is on the way.
There we go. There we go. You doing good, Rhonda, though?
I'm doing pretty good. How about
Awesome.
you?
I'm doing well. Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored.
There
I
we
gotta
go.
say that every time
Every
you say
time.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite gospel songs.
That's how we do. The churchy, you got callbacks. So
Amen.
I appreciate you responding back to me putting that out. So I want to go with our Real Lover review. So this is from our 2 episodes ago, Holding Out for Love While Waiting for Marriage. And Stranger Danger
Oh God.
said, this was a great episode. The responses to the questions were very insightful. Thank you, Dre and Rhonda.
Thank you, Stranger Danger. I don't like your name, but thank you so much for the comment.
I appreciate that. I want to read a taste from Shay too. She said, from someone who's also abstinent, I love Rhonda's honesty about wanting to see it beforehand just so I know what I'm working with. LOL, love the video.
Somebody else said that to me. Like one of my friends was like, yeah, me too. I would want to see it too. Yeah. Yeah, so y'all, I'm gonna keep it funky. I really am. I'm gonna be honest. I would love to try, but if I can't try it, I gotta see it. It just is what it
If
is.
somebody told you had to live in a house for the rest of your life, wouldn't you want a tour of it? You ain't got to live in it yet.
Yeah,
but you just want to know.
Let me just see.
Let me see what I'm.
Is it a trailer park house or is it a tiny house or is it like a house? Like where's the neighborhood? Like let me just get a little
Lay of the land.
Yeah, just a little something like that. That's fine. I can wait. No worries.
I feel you.
Yeah, let's get on down this altar though. We gonna be on the speedy track. Course 1, effective communication.
No wasted time.
Course 2, date nights. How do we do those? When do we do those? You want to get engaged next week? No, just playing. But yeah, thanks,
But
Shay.
not really. Thank you for all the kind words. So, Rhonda, you ready for our real life love scenario?
Yes. I thought about this because it's happened so much, and I don't think we've ever really talked about celebrities being outed. And this week there was a story about a former or retired NBA player, DeJuan Blair, who was outed by a gay man who said that they've been in a relationship, I guess, on and off for the last 5 years. But he basically put up a video of him in bed with DeJuan, and DeJuan has never, been publicly gay. He's never said he was gay, which by the way, he don't have to say it. That could just be what it is. but it came across as an outing because he talked about certain things like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Like, it seemed like he did it because he was mad. The guy did it because he was mad. It just got me to thinking, like, things like this happen, not just exposing someone's sexuality, but just exposing the relationship, things that were private, like things that just were supposed to be between us. And I'm not talking about like abusive things. Like if you were hiding that you were being abused and now you're exposing that, that's, to me, that's different. But if you're just like hiding, I mean, you're just having private moments, but then when you're mad at them or things go left, you just spill it all out over for the internet to see. I don't know. I want to talk about it because I think it's a thing, and it's one of the icky things about social media. While there are lots of things to love, this is one of those things to not like so much. So I just wanted your take on it. Like, do you think that it's kind of par for the course? Like, you should be mindful about what you do because it could get exposed? Or should you expect privacy when you're having private moments with someone, and that no matter what happens between you guys, they're not going to expose it when they're mad at you?
Well, I think that one cliche works here was hurt people hurt people. And when people are hurt, they try to find ways to hurt you in the most effective way. And depending on how deeply they feel like they've been hurt is how they're going to try to reciprocate it. And public embarrassment is a way to definitely hurt somebody. It's a way to damage somebody's reputation, which is hurtful as well. This is the hard part about relationships or getting involved with someone. That's why you have to be discerning and understand all the elements, or try to understand as much as you can about a person and their character before getting into a relationship with them. Because when you are getting deeper into a relationship with someone, you're giving them access to you and they're getting behind those walls. That's why people put up walls as a defense mechanism, because the more you lean into that relationship, the more vulnerable you become to hurt. Like they have the hand, they have your heart in their hand essentially, and they can take care of it and manage it with care, or they can crush it.
So true.
And I think that is the tough part. And it's hard to say that some people who enter into those situations, you know, the person didn't really care about them or didn't really love them or anything like that. I don't know if that's the case. I just think it's a level of maturity. I think that when you enter into a relationship, you try to establish a baseline of respect of, this is what we don't do, and this is how we behave ourselves. And you even see that, like, a lot of messiness takes the forefront in a lot of situations, but we have seen easy, calm, no issue divorces. We've seen breakups that have no issue. And it's because there's more of a mutual respect, this is not what we're going to do, maturity enough to have a conversation around something if there's a disagreement, and the maturity to look at something and say, like, okay, long term, this may not make sense for us, and we're okay with it. It's going to hurt, but this is what we're going to do. And I think respect is part of that character trait that you want to have with somebody, to where they respect your wishes, your privacy. And when you're ready to bring something to the forefront, then they allow you to do that versus somebody else. Because I always say this, and I'll throw it to Rhonda, is that in relationships, whenever you're asking of somebody, it's going to come back to where they're asking that of you. Right. So it's like, you can act like, oh, you know, I don't know why you're so private about this. I don't know why you're so private about that. There's things that they're keeping that's private that you would like to remain private, right? That you wouldn't want exposed to the public. Just because it's different than your thing doesn't mean that there should be that mutual respect not to share those things unless the person is okay with doing it.
For sure. I love that you said, you know, trying to establish that up front or as early as you can, because man, I tell you, one thing I love about this podcast, I too learn. Like, I myself, although here to help you all, I am absolutely learning sometimes in the moment, just through like thinking and reflection, because this is now a thing that is added to the list, right? Like, when meeting someone or you talking to someone, and it's like, what things are like so sensitive to you? Because I think some things are super obvious, right? Like, we talk about, you and your partner might talk about certain things, and you know for a fact this thing is sensitive. they may have even told you they've only ever told you or maybe one other person. So that's automatically like, yeah, okay, that's sacred. But it might be some other things that don't seem that way to you, like you just said. And you think, well, why are you hiding that? Or why would that ever be a secret? And it's like, it's important to actually have the conversation so that you don't haphazardly go into, again, not even trying to expose someone, which is what we're talking about, but you just might overshare. You might just be hanging out with your friends and you say something and your person is like, dog, that was for you. That was not for the room. That was not for the date night. It was not. And so that is like light bulb moment for me to really think about these things and have these conversations. I think there are two points that I want to quickly make. Is one, someone's sexuality is just that, it's theirs. And if they are in a relationship dynamic with you, whether that's sexual or is more than that, but you know that they haven't publicly talked about their sexuality, as in they're hiding you, they're on the down low, whatever you want to call it, I do think it's like, I don't even know the right word for it, but I think it is absolutely, it's malicious when you expose that. It's malicious. You may feel slighted. You may feel like you were justified, because who wants to be a secret, right? Like, most people don't want to be hidden from the world, especially if they have affection for someone. But you participated in a situation knowing that you were a bit of a secret. So why, when things go left, like, you didn't think to expose me, my sexuality, when we were good, when everything was fine? So it definitely came with malicious intent. And I think that's really messed up. And I think people should be allowed to share who they love, what they love, how they like to love on their own accord. Like, it's not for anybody else to tell, not even the person that they're participating in it with. The exposure just of private moments. Like, I think about the girl who might have been the side chick to the popular person, to the popular man, and now he's kind of playing you to the left, and you're online like, see this when he slid in my DMs, see this when we blah 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 blah. It's just kind of like, I think it's more about them than it is about hurting the other person. Like, it's like you're
protective.
yeah,
Like, I'm not as bad of a person that y'all out here making me to be, essentially.
That part. Or like, I need to release this from myself. Like, I just need to get it out of me, right? Because a lot of times in those situations, you do all of that exposing and his life might change for a moment. I mean, he might have a rough couple weeks, couple months, maybe even a year or so in his household. But most of the time, the household remains intact. And again, it might get rough. But one thing about some women, I say this in love and respect, they'll tussle about a man. They will hold on to the rocky ship just so you don't get them. Just so you don't get him. Like, oh, you thought because he was sleeping with you and you told the world about it, I was going to leave him. I'm not. And that's really just because of her pride, that she's not going to let you have him, right? So I really do think, same thing with the sexuality piece. If you were comfortable being a secret, if your integrity was kind of on the back burner because you just wanted to be in this situation, I think exposing it to hurt the person is just, it doesn't work out for the person doing the exposing more than anything. It still kind of works out for the other people, again, especially if it didn't involve like he was being abusive to you or she was being abusive or whatever. Most of us look at the side person like, well, you shouldn't have done it. Now you get what you asked for. So I don't like exposure culture. I think it's nasty work. And if you're not exposing for the purpose of helping someone else, that's why I say under the pretense of abuse, you're exposing to hopefully save somebody else from getting in an abusive situation. But other than that, I mean, if it was just over slapping cheeks,
I mean, there's people who even in an abusive situation who do that with tact, right? And may not expose the person's name, but in a sense of sharing their experience. And I remember hearing somebody say there's your public life, there's like, everybody has a public life, and then everybody has a private life, and then everybody has like a secret life. And it's like different, you know, that public life is what you're okay with the public knowing. The private life is more those people closest to you know about it, but that secret life is like close to the vest.
Very close.
Like, maybe nobody knows some secrets. Like,
right.
ever.
Right.
And you may share it with one or two people.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that to say is that when we talked about this before the episode, is that we have to understand that there are consequences to every action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not justifying the consequences, because a lot of times the things that happen aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to understand that we can't live, which I think is part of thing that's wrong with America just in general. Freedom, everybody being able to do whatever they want is the motto essentially, but we are living in like a consequence-less society.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wants to do everything they want to do without there being any repercussions
Yeah.
for any actions.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to understand, every time you're going into something, every time you're doing something with somebody, every time you decide to do something in a private manner or make it a secret, there are consequences to that. Sometimes we play out in our mind and we think we know every angle,
Mm-hmm.
but typically we don't. You could think you know somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and then you turn around and you don't.
Yeah.
That's even something I talk about when I think I talked about this, maybe my Dear Future Wifey or another episode, when it comes to cheating. I was like, yeah, you could trust that person. They be like, I would never tell. I would never say anything. I would never do this. Who knows? They might find Jesus 2 years later and then feel like they need to confess all their sins. And that's a different person than what you were sleeping with. And then
Yep.
that book, like, you can't, like, there's consequences to every action. So if you are doing something, especially in secret,
Mm-hmm.
because secret provides now you're introducing a power dynamic that's a lot different. Now somebody has something over you,
Yep.
and you're trusting them with that.
Yep.
Something that could affect your reputation, something that can affect your perception and how people view you. It could mess up your money, job, a lot of different things. It could disrupt your life.
Yeah.
It's very possible that can happen, and you're giving that to someone, that power to someone. So you have to be conscious on, if I'm going to do this and do something secret, who am I giving that power to? And even if it's right that they didn't expose and they were just angry and maybe they lied, like, it was a decision to enter into this act and do this secret thing with this person. So it's not excusing the exposure behavior, but also understanding. And basically what I'm talking about in the beginning is just be discerning, like, be conscious and really think about what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
Yep.
Make sure you understand who they are. You try to get a read as best as you can on the character of the person before you. And honestly, that's any relationship, not just an intimate one, a business one, any type of relationship. You need to figure out those things before you really dig deep into, truly, metaphorically, but also physically getting in the bed with them.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, I hate to say this, but I kind of don't. I think sometimes we really get all tense about formalizing certain things. Like, I think prenups are great, right? Like, I'm not a person that thinks like, oh, you don't really love me. Just like I think NDAs are great.
Yeah.
NDAs don't protect you from crime. So you can't say, oh, they signed the NDA, but you was beating them up like that. That's not going to work. They get to talk about that because that's a crime. But anything that happened between us, and you don't have to be a celebrity to want somebody to sign a non-disclosure agreement. You don't have to be famous. You don't know what someone's life is going to be 5, 10, 20 years from now. And you may not want them to talk about that. I had a person in my 9 to 5 who was just living in my community. Very, very, very famous. Everyone had to sign an NDA that worked there. And we never saw this person. But for the fact that you just might see him in this hallway, you just might see his family in this hallway, everybody's signing one. Because if something goes left, I have recourse. That's and literally, you see how I'm talking about it, right? Because I don't want to be sued.
You make a great point about agreements and contracts, and this is the issue when it comes to relationships and a lot of things we deal with in life. If you had to, just asking Rhonda and viewers out there, if you had to say, when it comes to putting something in writing and making an agreement, what it's most beneficial for, and I'm gonna give you two options: the start of the agreement or the end of the agreement.
The end.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. So many people, it's easier to get into an agreement when there's a lot of gray, because it's open for interpretation, and most people interpret the most rosy part of this opportunity, especially because they're excited when entering into it.
Yeah.
But you know where the grade doesn't benefit you? It's when it's time to end that thing. Because then there's so much, but that's not what I meant. That's not what that meant. That's not. So then it becomes more mess. Yeah. So although it may be a little bit harder to define something or be more clear or take more time to be exact and clear in the beginning, you know what part is going to make easier though? The end. Because we clarified and made sure
paperwork already signed
that everything was clear. And this is not just talking about like, we're talking about NDAs and stuff like that, but also just in your normal verbal agreements and relationships. Yes. It's like you leave it more gray in the beginning. It's gonna be cool in the beginning because y'all all this, it's all fun. Like you don't know what you are, but it's vibe and it's aura and it's nice and it's. But when it comes to the end, the what are we? That ain't all fun anymore.
It don't feel good.
It's
it feel like you in a goddamn washing machine.
That's not what I meant by that. That's not what I meant by that. But if you verbally talk about it and clarify it in the beginning, you know it becomes a lot easier to end. Because we already established what this was, what we were going to do, what the parameters were. It was very clear.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that. Y'all welcome. Y'all welcome. Let's get into our real love scenario. This is a first for us.
Yes.
This is a unique one for us. This might be our youngest real lover. We're hearing from baby girl. That's what we gonna call her, baby girl. She says, "Hi, Dre and Rhonda. I love the show so much. I am a younger viewer. I'm in high school, a grade below my age because I was born in the winter. Thank you for that context. There's this guy who is a year and a half older than me, and we've been friends for a while now. Last year, we got pretty close. A year ago, my cousin was hanging out with him and our friends while I wasn't there. At that time, he had a girlfriend, but asked my cousin if I would be interested in him. He had been flirty with me for about 3 months and always text and talk to me. We started hanging out during the warmer months this year, and everything was great. However, during the summer, we lost contact, though I had been trying to reach out. About a month ago, we hung out a few times, and I came clean to him about my feelings. I told him I liked him for a while. He asked me what I wanted to do, but mentioned that I was 2 grades below him. I said that it wouldn't be weird since my birthday was coming up, but during this time, he hadn't shared his feelings for me. He suggested we could wait until December, which is when my birthday is. However, I haven't received any clarification on whether he is interested in me or not, and I find myself infatuated with him. Since then, he has been distant and I'm unsure of what to do. I would really appreciate your take on this because it's constantly on my mind. I don't want to enter a relationship before that time, even if it isn't serious, but I also don't want him to either. I'm unsure how to fully open up the lines of communication, and aside from the eye contact we share at school, there hasn't been much acknowledgement of this situation. I'm just confused in general and need another set of eyes to view the situation. Thank you for reading this. Love you guys."
Thank you.
We love you back.
We love you too.
Thank you so much for writing.
Oh man, it's
something, ain't it?
It take me back to a different time.
Oh man. Listen, you gonna get on fluffy today. You gonna get, if y'all don't know, would you unless you follow me, you probably don't know. Many of my nieces, nephews, godkids call me Aunt Fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
I will not go into the story of how it all came together because it's kind of long, but you getting a little bit of Aunt Fluffy today because it's necessary. It's necessary. It's sweet. Right.
It is.
It's sweet. We all have been there.
Yes, we have.
We were all teenagers at one point, just knew that we had somebody special. And when she said infatuated, I said, I remember like it was yesterday. I know his name right now. I ain't going to say it. But first and last name. What a time. What a time.
I tell you right now. Listen,
Dre, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, because I feel like what you're about to do is literally the very first thing I want to talk about, which is what we classify this to be, which is kind of like puppy love. Once you get to a certain age, you get up our age, you look at this type of love dynamic as like, child, girl, sit down. You think this is something, baby. Buckle up, okay? Like, this ain't real.
Yeah.
You know, we tend to be very dismissive, us adults, of young love. And so I want to explore, one, just puppy love and anything you want to share about your puppy love days, but also really why we do that when we all remember that we felt that that was real back then. So why is it now that we're so much older, we dismiss that as real? You couldn't tell us it wasn't real back then. It was real to us.
Yeah.
It was real to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. Like, I wasn't gonna say nothing about that.
Okay.
I was more just gonna say that them same people, you fast forward about 15, 20 years, I'm trying to tell you, they don't be...
Ain't nothing to be infatuated with.
Sometimes, but a lot of times is not. But no, I remember those days. It takes me back just hearing it, because first, there's a few things that like you do when you're younger that make no sense.
Yeah.
No sense at all. When you like somebody.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that's the most challenging about that time in your life is that you are so influenced by your peers.
So influenced. Like literally.
Oh my
you
gosh.
barely have your own brain. Seriously.
Barely. Like, you are so influenced by your peers that it makes it hard to differentiate what's truly your feeling and thought versus what the people around you are doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even if you have a thought, if it's not the trend or the popular thought, then you kind of bury that, right? And you don't pursue it. Certain things that she's talking about, I went through, like, I never, now at this big age, I don't understand why a 1 or 2 year age difference mattered back then to me and to us. Like, oh, I'm in 11th grade, you in 9th, or I'm in 10th grade, you in 11th, like you a grade under me. It's like that was really a thing.
Dude, I literally broke up with my middle school boyfriend because I was going to high school and he was still in middle school, and I was like, I mean, I can't have a middle school boyfriend.
Like, and sometimes the people be the same age,
he depending
was
2 years younger than me.
Depending on what year you entered into school, like they could be the same age as you. Like, I remember, and I feel so bad because I know that so I have puppy love stories, right? Everybody has them, like, to where,
absolutely.
But I remember liking a girl, and I feel so bad, and I hope that she understands. Well, you know, that didn't do anything, but. I liked her, but she was 2 grades younger than me.
Okay.
And I thought she was the cutest thing in the world. But like the guys in my grade would like always tease her and stuff like that. And then it was always looked at like, you can't, like, 2 years younger. Like, no, what? You can't talk to somebody and, you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, right? But they used to always tease her, and I wouldn't say anything, but I always thought she was the cutest thing. And I never ever told her that. But then once we got grown up, we got to high school, and she went to a different high school. I went to a different high school. I saw her at a track meet, and I was like, went up to talk to her, and I was like, hey, like, you know, what's up? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like trying to get her number, because at that point, I'm at an age now to where I'm like,
this makes sense.
I don't care. Like, it don't matter.
Yeah.
And then she looked at me and was like, y'all used to make fun of me all the time. And basically was like, nope.
Back then, they didn't want me.
She was like, you can have my Facebook. And that's the time where I didn't even know what Facebook was at that point. So that's how I got introduced to Facebook. But even sometimes when I see her now, she's still like, I see her around sometimes, but it's kind of like, and I feel bad because it's like, I the whole time thought you was cute.
Yeah.
And I told her that
sharing
at that
brain with your friends.
Yeah, I was just sharing that brain, and it just happened with so many different things. And it's happened the other way to where I like somebody older, and I don't know why also, and I'll kick it to you, but it's like being in 9th grade and seeing an 11th grader, they seem so much older.
Oh my gosh. Why did they seem so much older?
They seem like so much older, but now in adulthood, I'm like, you was basically a year and a half like older than me, essentially.
Right. We're like, the same age.
We just basically the same age, but they seemed so much older than me. But there's people that I like, you know, like that were older, but they just also seemed so out of reach. And I don't know if it was them being older that made it seem more like dreamy, or like had that mist over it, or they were driving and I wasn't, or like they were doing things like it was just a different like mist that they had that I think added to the level of attraction that factored into the infatuation. But the good thing is that if you keep yourself good, you know, you do well, you stay in shape, you know, listen, you keep yourself together,
You'll
them
be
people
fine.
gonna come back. I'm trying to tell you, them people gonna
They
come
gonna
back.
spin that
They gonna
block.
spin the block. I had a few people that come back and be like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Same.
we grown now.
Same.
But yeah,
And I
puppy
feel like I
love.
definitely got better after. I was cute in school, but I definitely got better after the fact.
Same for me too.
Yeah.
And the confidence level changes.
Totally.
Like especially as a man too, it's like part of your swag is your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I think my thing too was that like I went to a private school from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Oh yeah, then you made that switch.
So my 8th grade class was 60 people total. So that's girls and guys. So it's like not a lot of options. But then when I got to public school, my 9th grade class was like 1,000.
Yeah.
9th grade.
Yeah.
Not even 10th. I wasn't used to like all the attention as much. But then as I started to get older, it started to come more and more, and the confidence started to build.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay. And then once you got in adulthood, the confidence comes, and then it's like, oh yeah, we good now.
We lit for sure. I mean, you cannot tell me my experiences with puppy love were not real. Like for sure. I mean, my most significant, I guess, relationship at that age was Nick, and I just knew I was gonna marry him. I was 16 and he was older than me, and that was a concern. He was 3 years older than me though. Like, so I went to all girls high school, and he went to a private high school. He played basketball, but we met at church. And I always loved basketball. Like, I just knew I was gonna be with a basketball player. Shout out to Vince Carter. That was my greatest basketball crush. And yeah, like I knew that our relationship was so real. We picked out baby names. We knew we were gonna move to a particular part of town. Our parents were against us dating at first because of our age difference. His parents felt like I was too young. My mother most certainly felt like he was too old, because I was still in high school when he had then went into college. So it was like, no, like he's actually now over 18 and you're under 18. But it was like, come on, like what are we talking about? It's just 5 minutes over 18. You know what I'm saying? So, but yes, I believed strongly that we were going to be together forever and ever and ever. But he also made me feel that way, you know, like it was a good relationship until it wasn't, and it ended. And I will say this one thing. This is the only, I guess, the biggest piece of why I shoot bail to the validity of puppy love, because there are some people who have been together since they were 15 and 16.
It is very true.
There are some people who are like married to this day, have had now a family. They are in their 30s and 40s, and they have been together. They say, we were high school sweethearts. We went to the prom together. Like, I think about Fifi and Correga Bailey. I love that couple. They started dating in high school. They are almost 40 now with a child. So it's like, it can happen, but the likelihood is not always there. Majority of us are not with the people we started out loving and liking in high school. But it's very possible. But it's,
I mean, they having babies at that age, so
Lord, and we gonna get into that again. Aunt Fluffy is here. That's what we're not gonna be doing. Okay, that's not what we're not gonna be doing.
But yeah, it's real. You need that. You need that experience to learn.
Yeah.
That's why I like college. Even high school is great because you're learning in more of a safe environment, right? It's like, I think you have trouble when you're out of place, like you're learning in the world, then it's a lot tougher because the stakes are a lot higher. You're dealing with people who are super manipulative and stuff. But if you're 9th grader dealing with another 9th grader, it's just more of a more safe learning environment to just be like, oh, okay, this didn't happen. I like this person. That happened. It's like the stakes aren't that high. I know it feels real in that moment, but that's necessary for you to learn and understand things and how to go about moving in relationships. So
listen, speaking of learning, I want to talk about some really strong tips for teens, because I was very surprised that we got a real lover, a young person who in my head, I'm like, why are you listening to this? But this is a positive show, even though we might explore some topics that can get a little spicy sometimes. But I wish I had a real love scenario when I was 15 to 16 to like listen to. Relationship conversations, just weren't happening as much when I was that age. But most importantly, they were happening during like daytime talk daytime talk shows. I'm in school, I'm in cheer, I'm in whatever I'm doing. I don't see these things, and they were always very focused on mature people, like wives and husbands. And it's like, I can't identify with this. So I wish I had a Rhonda and Dre to listen to try to learn some things when I'm 15, 16, 17, trying to figure out my way through love. So I want to give you some real auntie style, cool auntie, but auntie style tips on like what to do and kind of like what not to do. More than anything, lessons I wish I learned, things that I wish somebody would really told me that I thought was cool. Because don't get me wrong, my mom was cool, but my mother telling me not to do something did not feel cool. That felt like you trying to control my life. I wish I had, that kind of sisterly auntie type vibe that was like, baby, we're not doing that. So one of the things that stood out in her scenario was the boy said to her cousin, although he has talks to her and has been around her, that he want to talk to her, right? And that's very teenage like.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah,
using
for
messengers
sure.
to get the things around. But the part that had me messed up was that he had a girlfriend when he was doing this inquiring.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, not good for her, but yeah, it's
not uncommon.
It tracks.
It tracks. It's high school. You hopping from one to one to one, and you think that's cool. But I'm here to tell you, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Like, he should not. Again, think about if you were his girlfriend. Would you like it if he was going around or being at a party or being around somebody and being like, "Hey, what's up with your cousin?" But he knows that he has a girlfriend, and y'all know that he has a girlfriend. So that is what we call a red flag. And realistically, even if you liked him, thought he was cute, whatever, it should have very much been oh no, you have a girlfriend. Like, why you checking for me? Like, that's not cool. It's definitely a flag. And listen, it's a flag at your age. It's a flag at 18. It's a flag at 25. It's a flag at 43. It's a flag through every decade, baby. That's
because the truth is, it's still some 40-year-old men with the 17-year-old men mentality.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. With a girlfriend and a wife, but asking about you, asking about what you got going on. So absolutely should have really been a no right from that point. But then we move into the age difference. You're 2 years younger than me. So do you feel like this young man, who we gonna shoot him bail because he's a young man, he's a boy.
Yes, he
is a bit manipulative? You think he a little bit of a player?
It's very possible.
Okay.
But I think it just comes with the territory. Like, it just comes with, you just have to acknowledge that, not that his decisions are his own, but a lot of things that he's doing is being influenced by the people around him and the men around him. And don't let you have a boy that has older brothers too, because then that conversation, I feel like men with older brothers mature in a much faster way than men who don't have older brothers or older siblings, because they just learn stuff at a earlier time.
Yeah.
With that example, versus other guys. But I mean, it could be a little manipulative. I don't even know if he know what he doing, really.
Right.
I think he just, at that point, you like what you like. Does commitment mean as much at that age? Probably not. Than like what it would mean as an adult, or if you're dealing with another adult. Even what a relationship means at that age is completely different, right? What is it really? What does that really mean?
Yeah.
I know as an adult what a relationship is, like, but as a high school kid, like, what is that? Like, is that me picking you up before school? Is that us being together in the hallway? Like, it could be a lot of different things.
That's how I see it. I see it as just like fun, light-hearted interactions. Like, for the most part, it's going to the mall together. I mean, it's definitely talking.
Yeah.
It's talking about maybe your favorite games or your favorite shows. But, you're not getting into the heavier lift of like true adulting, right? So if you are having spats or arguments, like, there's no space for that at 15 and 16. Like, this should be like really fun and cute. Like Dre said, picking you up or taking you home after school if your parents are okay with that.
Homecoming dance, prom.
Yes, like you got your built-in prom date, all of those things. It's the homecoming and going to the, like you said, going to the dances together. It's a lot of like light stuff. And you may even feel like if you are, let's say you're not getting along with your parents, let's say you feel like, oh my God, my mom hates me, she don't let me do anything. That person can also be that sounding board for you, something that translates totally to true adult relationships. But we're not getting into anything too heavy duty. Like if it feels too heavy duty, that is not something that you should be involved in, because at this age, so much of your life is predicated, one, on you growing, but focusing on your education. Like you are at a point in school where you have to go to school. Like you're in high school, that's a requirement. So you really should be, not to sound like the old uncool aunt, but that's the focus. And if you can't focus on your sports or your grades or anything like that because of your boyfriend or girlfriend, nah, that's not where it's at.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's my advice to you dealing with this situation is that explore, because that's what you do at this age. But I would encourage you to save your sexuality when it comes to that aspect of things.
Yeah.
There's I heard this on one of my favorite shows and I loved it. A guy told his daughter that there are two things, and I added a third one, that disrupts a kid's life more than anything. That's drugs, sex, and cars. Like kids die in car accidents all the time just because they're riding with people who just got their license 2 months ago, out here doing stuff that can disrupt your life. I don't know if you know people in high school who passed away from car accidents, but I had people in high school, car accidents, passed away from those things. Drugs, doing stuff like that as well. And then sex is a major way to blow up your life at the age of 15, 16. Yep. So there's a lot of exploration that's done, and it's a natural thing. You explore, you want to try things, you want to figure things out. But when it comes to that aspect of things, I guarantee you at 16 or 17, not much is coming out of that experience that you won't look back and be like, I wish I would have did it.
No.
At 16 or 17.
No, you will not look back and think that.
99.9% of the time, you'll look back and be like, why did I do that?
Yeah, it was unnecessary.
Right? I shouldn't have even did that.
Didn't gain nothing from it.
Didn't gain nothing. He wasn't even ish. Like, it just wasn't worth it. So we all have the, like, I don't want to be hypocritical and telling people don't do something that I didn't even do myself. Like we all explored and wanted to know things, and we liked somebody and wanted to try it and see what that led to. But it gets into permanent, more just consequential waters when you add the sex element into it, and you starting to get into territory that's just hard to undo if mistakes do happen in that way.
That's so true. I mean, one thing, just to piggyback on what you're saying, I can't echo it enough that having sex before your brain actually understands what you're doing is not okay. Like, I know you think because I thought it. Okay. I had sex before I was 18. I had sex much too young. And my brain was not developed enough to understand something that my body could just biologically do. Just because my body was old enough to actually do something, my brain was not developed enough to actually understand what my body was doing, like truly understand what my body was doing. I didn't understand how literally after this one act, I had already liked this boy. And I've talked about it before on the podcast that my experience of losing my virginity was actually not a traumatic story at all. Like, I felt liked and cared for and all by this person. They remained my boyfriend even after that happened. But what I didn't know until many years later is, like, chemically, I became so much more attached to him.
Yeah.
Like, it was like my body didn't understand, like my brain didn't understand when my body was like latching onto this new experience. And that is not, what I needed. I did not need that type of distraction. I mean, I continued and finished school and had good grades and all of that. But boy, did I get in trouble because I was sneaking and doing different things, all because now I'm like, oh, I want to do that because my body now feels what that feels like. And so I can't say that enough. Like, date like boys, like girls, do all of those things, but you are going to have so much time to have sex. I mean, for real, for real. Like, truth be told, if I could go back, I probably would have saved myself for marriage if I like really could redo it. But if not that, I mean, we talking like 25,
Yeah.
like truly like well over 18, like in college, done with college. But like you said, so much pressure. There's so much pressure because there's some people whose parents, friends, I mean, not friends, parents, people who are basically their guardians aren't having these conversations with them. They're
Yeah.
not even talking about it. So now you just feel pressure because you find out that your friend is doing it or that boy is doing it or that boy just wants to do it. And I actually feel like reading in between the lines in which she wrote about him, I felt like he was kind of alluding to it. Like once she expressed her feelings, he's like, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, what do I want to do about what? Like, again, because your mind is so, you're not stupid, but it's just
Yeah.
underdeveloped that we take, oh, well, you like me. So now how do we show that? Well, just by talking and going to the movies and stuff and like the mall and yeah.
Yeah, that would be also another piece of advice that you could take with you into adulthood is that you don't want a guy to just like you. You want a guy to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
And you should take the respect over the like.
Yes.
Right? Because it starts early to where women get confused that a man being physically attracted to them and doing things that accompany physical attraction means that he truly respects you and likes you.
Yeah.
But especially at that age, typically if you drop your level of respect for yourself and engage in whatever you're trying to engage with him just to get him to like you, he doesn't respect you, and typically he bragging about it to his friends anyway. You're just a topic of conversation. You're something to say he did, that he's done at that age. A lot of times you don't have a lot of mature young men that are just, I'm doing it just for me. I'm keeping everything on the low. That don't typically happen. You're just a conversation now that people are older and they got these type of phones and group chats and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you want to have him respect you because even as you grow older, people remember that. Like I love when people come up to me and was like, I always knew, man, even in back in the day, you was always the one that was blah, 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 blah. You was always like this, or you was always like that. And then what the respect is you're also setting a standard. So imagine like you would get more of his attention if you told him like, I really, really like you. I would love to go out. But you like, as long as you have a girlfriend, I can't do it. Like he'd be like, he won't forget that. And the thing is that if you really want to be in a relationship with him and what that means for you and something that's committed and that's the person you want to be with without any other side people, either he's going to rise to the occasion or not. But he'll always know that's your line.
Yep.
And he'll respect you for that. And even as he gets older, y'all come back for a 5-year reunion, he's going to remember all these other girls. Oh yeah, she was fast. Oh yeah, remember what we did with her, you and me, But her, you was good. Like you was a good girl. Like you was always standards. Like men respect women like that, dog. Like I think people get confused and think all men are dogs. It's just men a lot of times just push the envelope and they just see who's willing to do what.
Yep.
And a lot of times, now I know there are situations, but most of the time men aren't forcing people to do things. They just gonna try to push an envelope and see who's willing to fold. But they respect, like men respect the person that stands on business. That's just like, no, like
not doing it.
I'm not doing it. That's just not me. And I think you are fine. And I like you. And I would love to, but you gotta come correct if you want to mess with me.
And be clear. If he doesn't, if he's like, oh, I ain't waiting or I ain't done, that's not the one for you anyway. No. That's not what you want. This is not a time to start adjusting and compromising what you know to be true for yourself. Because again, I tell you, your body may look a certain way. Your body may even be doing things because you're growing, right? So you might be feeling things you like, what is that feeling? And you want to explore it. But I assure you that nothing really good comes from that. It winds up making the breakups harder. It winds up making it makes it's so much harder. So definitely avoid that and stand on your standards. And if you do it now, Oh, baby, I tell you, the tears you will save yourself. The tears you will save yourself. I promise you, you will be a better 25-year-old. You'll be a better 35-year-old. You'll be a better 45-year-old because you decided to be really strong at 15, really strong at 16, to be like, nah, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. The last thing about this scenario that I want to maybe highlight and make very clear to you, because you said you're confused. You express your feelings to him after he told someone he wanted to date you, or he told someone he liked you. So he expressed he liked you to someone else first. And then when you then expressed it to him directly that you liked him as well, all of a sudden he started changing. All of a sudden he's distant. You see him at school, he looks at you, but he doesn't talk to you. You said y'all were kicking it, hanging out, texting, doing all of that. But at the moment that you express, oh, I do like you, he's like, you're not old enough. And now it's just awkwardness and weirdness. I understand why you're confused because you're young. But let me give you the answer. He's not that into you. He's just not that into you. You should just move on. It's super simple. If he really liked you, if he cared enough that you came to him and told him how you felt, he would acknowledge it and nothing would have changed. I mean, he'd need to change his relationship status with the other girl. But if he really liked you, he would be pressing you down. He would be talking to you in school. He would be trying to sit with you at lunch. He would be like, meet me outside after school. I'm gonna walk you to the bus or walk you home or whatever y'all do after school now. Those things would be happening. And so for the rest of us that are listening and watching this that are not 15, same thing applies. Okay. If he's not pressing you down, if he's not trying to be about you and be in your face and be around you and walk you to your car at the end of the day or whatever, he's just not that into you. And it's nothing to try to figure out and be confused. Why did he tell my cousin that he liked me? It don't matter. Doesn't matter. Clearly he changed his mind. Yeah. Actions must align with words for the whole thing to be true. So he said a thing, but his action said another thing. There's conflict. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And it's at that age, liking is just such a loose word. Like that can mean I think they're cute, but typically also high school and middle school, I don't know what your situation is, but I feel like the ratio is typically kind of skewed towards like there are a lot of girls who like the same guy and a lot of guys who like the same girl, because you kind of have your tiers in there. So it's like it's very possible, especially he's dealing with the women in his grade and then maybe a grade younger, and then you're coming another year younger. It's like if he's a popular guy or something like that, there's probably a lot that he's contending with too. So he might like you, might like your conversation and all that, things like that. But as to go as far as a relationship or something like that, maybe he's not in a place to want to do that at this moment. And he's young and figuring it out and exploring too.
Just like
you are. So it's nothing to be mad necessarily at him about, but just take actions as a form of communication that he's letting you know, this is where I'm at with it. And you also have to, and this for adults here too, because I feel like some people need to understand this, is that people or somebody being attracted to you, liking you, flirting with you feels good.
Yeah.
It feels really good. It makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel desired. It makes you feel attractive.
Yeah.
So sometimes people feed into that when they want to feel good. So they have all these other people and things entertaining them, but it may be a slow night, a slow week. They may be in between something. The person that they thought was something is making them upset. So they hit you up to make them feel good. Hey, boo, how you doing? Hey, missed you. You want to grab it? You want to go to the movies? You want to do something like to hang out with you just to feel like be around somebody who's like sweating them.
Yes.
Who they know
is infatuated
them. So they can just like flirt with you a little bit, and it gives them that like boost and that feel good and we've all done it. I'm trying to tell you, we've been in both sides of it before. Like we've all been victim of it and all have been the one who has done it to other people before. So that's why I'm telling you this. But even in high school, that feeling still it still works. Like it's the reality. So the biggest lesson that you could take away from this is and this is something you could take through the rest of your life, is that if you desire something, you create that standard for yourself and what you desire. If that person is not willing to meet that standard, then that's not the person for you right now. And we're not even talking about just in relationships. If you are wanting to have fun and you're in the exploration phase, but the person wants something super serious, that's not your person for you in that moment, because that's not what you desire, right? So it's all about figuring out what you desire, what you want, and then also figuring out what they are on and seeing if that aligns. But in every decision that you make, I want you to think about the long-term effect of it as well. So even if you're like, I just want to have fun, also think about the long-term effect of what fun means, what comes with that, because you don't want to disrupt your life now. I mean, disrupt your future life off of the actions that you make right now.
Listen, Aunt Rhonda and Uncle Dre, I feel like we get you going in the right direction, young lady. And we really wish you the best and absolutely appreciate you listening and just even wanting this knowledge, wanting to learn at such a young age on what to do or what does this mean. Because these lessons, as you heard us say multiple times, we're talking to you at your very young age, but we are talking to all of our big asses too, okay, who still are failing forward through these very, very lessons.
I wonder if they do the same things that we did, like growing up, when it comes to this, because they different. They got social media now.
Oh gosh!
So you probably, like, the only way that we really talked to talk to somebody outside of school, it had to be another physical interaction, like either at a track meet or like church or, you know, like I had to physically meet them somewhere, to where now they got the whole social media. They probably talking to the whole county. If you're a star basketball player, you talking to everybody. But I remember, like, we used to do stuff like, I bet you could tell me too, because we're not that far apart in the sense that, like, cell phones weren't like super prevalent even when I was in high school. Like, even Twitter was, you know, social media wasn't. But I remember times where I would ask my boy, like, "Oh, you friends with her? Like, what's up?" And then he'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna call her. We're gonna 3-way you in, but don't say nothing."
Hear what she said.
Don't hear Like, all those things was the thing. Like, call the house phone. Can I speak to you know?
Yeah, and listen, the introduction to the parent thing was early, because you couldn't even call the house.
Who's calling my phone?
What's your name? Okay, who lives in your house? Mom and dad. What's their names? You know, like, that stuff was getting sorted out before you could even regularly call the house. You can't even really
get like anywhere far.
You can't. So this is why a lot of times you didn't even talk to these people at home. You could only talk to them at school and at the separate location, or, oh, I'm going out with my girlfriends, but you and your girls is meeting up with him and his boys, so that you can talk there. So absolutely. But now it's so different. And with that even being said, I'm so glad you said that, because now y'all have so many extra means of communication. We really had to wait to talk to people in person. You can now text. Y'all can talk on TikTok and Instagram or whatever else.
We have. I remember trying to set up
on iPads and phones. I remember
trying to set up Uvu on a snow day one time, and I was just like, it was hard. It was a nightmare. Like, Skype was just becoming kind of like a thing.
Skype was like, nowhere to be found when I was talking to boys. No, it was not. So with that being said, if he can communicate with you in all of these many ways, but he's not. Now, come on now. Come on. Y'all go to the same school. It's not even like he goes to a different school. You could be posted up in the hallway talking and he's not talking to you. So I get it, because it hurts, because I'm telling you, my first real crush, shout out to Janika, my best friend from middle school. She probably still has many of the letters that I would write to her about this boy. I was obsessed. Like, I saw him in the hallway today. He never paid me no attention. Like, I didn't even get this far. I got far because he spent the block when we were adults. But back then, I was like, I just love him so much. He's just so cute. Like, he just walks down the hallway and I'm like losing my mind.
Spin the block. It's a special feeling. You shouldn't feel good probably about that stuff sometime, but it's a good feeling when they spin and they like,
Let me tell you, and it was a letdown. Oh my gosh. Oh man, moving right along.
Woo. That's why that man remains nameless.
The juice was not worth that squeeze, child. God bless him, though.
But
I hope he's doing well.
We wish you the best as you
Yes.
are navigating this space.
You'll be fine, honey bun.
You'll be fine. Just hold on to that sexuality.
That's
my
to it.
one thing. Please reserve that.
I hope it is already held on to. And
Yes.
if it is, keep it there.
Keep it.
Keep it tucked in, okay? Keep us posted, please. I actually think you are going to update us because
Yes.
the babies love talking. Please keep us updated on your situation. And if you have a scenario and you want our help, write into us, relationshiprestore.com. Click that contact button. You can write into the show and tell us your story. Follow us on social media. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
As Dre Smith.
And at Relationship Restore.
Peace.
Bye.